All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. We are here for the CPRS Vice President Candidate Forum. We are very excited this morning. I am Adam Chow, your current CPRS Vice President, and I will be facilitating today. Helping me behind the scenes, of course, we got our Executive Director, Stephanie Stevens.
Good morning, everyone.
Hooray. Thank you for being here. Happy Monday morning, everybody. Steph's going to be helping out with behind the scenes, doing the chat, all that kind of fun stuff. So if you need anything, you can message her. She'll take coffee, tea orders, all the good stuff. Special delivery on a Monday morning, as we all probably need. Before I introduce the vice president candidates, let me do a little bit of housekeeping for us. Just an idea of what we're going to be doing today. Each candidate will be asked the same questions in varying orders. We have a set of questions to start us off, about six of them. And then we're going to open up to our members here and be able to ask any questions that you've got. And so Steph's going to be checking those out. And as time allows, we'll kind of go through those. And then we'll allow our candidates to be able to answer those questions. Just a reminder that we are recording this forum and that is already going. It will be posted to the website afterward. So we're very excited to be able to have our vice presidential candidates here with us today, be able to kind of talk about themselves and let you know who they are as our candidates in our election season is just about to kick off. So elections will be starting on Thursday, and I'll give you the full reminder about that on the end when we start wrapping this up. But I'd like to first introduce our two candidates. We have Nick Calubaquib from the city of Watsonville. Welcome, Nick. Thank you for being here. And then we also have Victoria Reyna from the city of Lancaster. Thank you for joining us today. All right. We ready to begin? Ready to jump in? All right. Don't be nervous. You guys got this. We're all here to support you. All 32 eyeballs that are staring at you right now are going to be great. All right. So we're going to start off with Nick. First question for you as we get rolling on this. Please briefly share your CPRS involvement, including your engagement at the district, section, region, and/or state level. So Nick, we'll start you off, and then Victoria will have you follow behind on this one.
All right, thanks, Adam, and thanks for starting with a softball question. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Adam, Steph, and Vic, and CPRS. Again, my name is Nick Calubaquib. I'm currently the Deputy City Manager and Parks and Community Services Director for the City of Watsonville. I've been in the Parks and Recreation profession for, going on 30 years, and started as a part-time temporary rec leader in the same summer camp and after-school programs that I grew up in. And rolling back the clock, way back to the beginning. I think my first CPRS event that I attended was as a rec leader when I was the ripe old age of 16. It was in Pacifica, and it was a training just for recreation leaders led by Bill Michaelis, if any of you remember, good old Bill. So CPRS has really been an integral part of my entire journey throughout my career. And I've had the honor and pleasure of serving in many different positions for CPRS. I've served on the state board as the Region 2 rep for a couple rounds, close to 10 years ago. Have served on various sections. I'm currently the inaugural secretary for the brand new advocacy section. Have had the pleasure of working with the board, along with Victoria and many others, on getting that section up on its feet. I've also spent many years with the admin section, served as the Region 2 rep, and went through the presidential series as well. I'm currently the past president for the administrators section. Throughout my entire career, I've been involved in the districts as well. District 6 primarily has been kind of my home district. When I first got my first full-time job, I immediately found CPRS again and took my first role on the District 6 board, I think as director of something something. But went through the presidential series there and served as the administrator section rep, kind of ongoing for many, many years, and I still hold that position. When I worked in Morgan Hill, I also served on the District 4 board as also the administrator section rep. There was also kind of a point in time where I served on both the D4 and D6 boards, working in District 4, living in District 6 to help District 6 kind of just keep things going when they were going through some tough times. So again, CPRS work has always been a real key part of my success as a professional and for me personally as well. Served on many different committees over the years as well, from the Awards of Excellence for the California Action Plan Committee, helped to develop that strategic document for our profession and for CPRS, and then also helped to serve on the Executive Director Search Committee when we hired Steph many years ago. So just a few other examples of committee work that I've done for CPRS over the years, but I think that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. So, Victoria, you're going to be next. I'll reread the question for you so that way you've got that fresh in your mind. But, Victoria, please briefly share your CPRS involvement, including your engagement at the district, section, region, and or state levels.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, CPRS friends. It's a pleasure to be here this morning and an honor to sit on this candidate forum alongside Nick. It's an honor to be alongside him on this candidate forum. My involvement similar to Nick, it started as a recreation leader attending my first District 10, I believe, Rec Leader Consortium. And so I was hooked. Ever since then, I was hooked. But as most recreation professionals do, they end up being voluntold to be part of a committee. And so I was proud to be voluntold to be part of District 11 as a corresponding secretary, which for those of you that remember, it was back when you had to convince B to send you a list of name tags so you can mail out all of the invitations and all of the newsletters. So that was way, way back in the day. So ever since then, I served as corresponding secretary, regular secretary for District 11. I went through the presidential series and served as president for District 11. After that, I got the state bug because someone decided to tell me, if not you, who? If not now, when? And so as I was taking him to a Region 4 training, and so I was decided to run for Region 4, and I was honored to be selected to serve as a Region 4 rep for District 11, 13, and 14. And so I served as Region 4. After that, I decided to throw my name in the hat as Secretary Treasurer for the State Board, and I was honored to serve as that for a few years. And then, of course, my involvement didn't stop there. I had the honor to send the torch over to Leah Martinez this past year, and I was asked to help out the admin section when a fellow colleague had to step down in her role. So I served as a Region 4 rep for the admin section, and I served alongside Nick in his past president role. And then, of course, with the new advocacy section, we needed someone to step in the role of the Director of Board Relations. That's the title. And so it's been an honor to kind of help shape the new advocacy section role. And so the involvement has been across the board. And as most of you know, I serve as the Assistant Director for the City of Lancaster. And I'm proud to say I have changed from District 11 to now District 14, and has been a pleasure to see that district blossom this past year under the leadership of Sonia Patterson and also all of the leaders in that district so far. So that has been my involvement in district section and region involvement.
Great. Thank you, Victoria. Appreciate that. And then let's see. Victoria, you're going to start off with this next question. You both have mentioned people who have inspired you or brought you into the fold, right? You know, CPRS leaders, we always are talking to new people and bringing people in. But for you, who inspires you, and how's that inspiration shaped the way you lead or serve? So who has inspired you, and how has that inspiration shaped the way you lead or serve? So Victoria, we will start with you.
You know what, Adam? I think for me, there's so many individuals that, have touched my career, my passion, but I think it's every single member of CPRS that truly inspires me. This past year, January 7th was 1 year with the devastating fires here in Southern California, and how resilient everybody was. And the park and recreation profession, they're the first ones to report in. They're the ones that come and say, how can we help? And the members of CPRS are the ones that inspire me, because it doesn't matter what trials or tribulations happen in whatever agency is going through. They know what to do and they rely on each other, and I think that's what CPRS stands for, and that's what the community is. And so every single individual that I have come across my career, as a volunteer, as a rec leader, as an entry-level professional, and in my role today, my team inspires me. The members of the state board inspire me. The members of the LA County Parks and Recreation profession that had to endure, their facilities burning down and trying to figure out how to make recreation work again. The agencies that came across Southern California to come together to provide recreation to kids that didn't even know who they were, but they said, absolutely, we are going to provide recreation for these people. Those are the people that inspire me, because it's a language that we all speak, and that's the power of play, right? And the power of play and being able to make that happen. So every single person on this call, everybody that is a member of CPRS, everybody that does what we do, they're the individuals that inspire me.
Awesome. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for sharing that. Nick, you will have the same question as well. So, who inspire you? Who inspires you? And how does that inspiration shape the way you lead or serve?
Well, I'm gonna first say ditto to that, and also say that I think Victoria is somebody who actually really inspires me as well. We've had the opportunity to work really closely together on a couple different boards over this past year, and I've gotten to know her in many different ways, and she's just fantastic. It's just funny. A few weeks back, we were plotting, and we were like, can we just both run for co-vice presidents and do this together? Because I think, like Vic said, I think for me, all of our members inspire me as well. I mean, there's obvious folks who have been huge mentors in my profession throughout my career. The Jim Wheelers, the Henry Perez Alonsos, and many others, like too many to really name. But folks who I've learned a lot from professionally, personally, and gleaned so many things about not just work life, but about how to be a better person in general. But I think, the further along I get in my career, the more really our members and the folks who I think are coming up in our profession inspire me kind of more and more to be the best person and parks and recreation professional that I can be. I think in the different roles I've served in CPRS, and also as an agency leader and municipal government leader, looking at the folks who are coming up as our coordinators, our supervisors, our managers, and superintendents. Like I do this for them. I really want to be the best leader and mentor I can be for those who will someday be in my position. And just seeing the spark get created in folks to create better communities really inspires me. I know Trisha's on this call. We had our Region 2 mini conference a couple months back, and she made this comment just about how at one point I reminded her about the power that she's got within herself, and that the belief in herself can really propel her to do what she wants to do and to accomplish her career goals and get back involved in CPRS. And that to me was super inspiring. And so I think it's those kind of connections, looking upwards and downwards that really mean the world to me in terms of CPRS.
Great. Thank you both. And I will say that having worked with both of you, you both definitely inspire me to keep doing what we're doing. And I've always appreciated working with both of you. We also have time. We will have time later on. So if people have questions who are in our audience and want to add them to the chat, please feel free to do so. I see that Sonia dropped one in there, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But I've got another question that we've got for Victoria, and we're going to get you starting off on this next question. Question number 3 we have here. You have both given to and benefited from CPRS over the number of years that you've been involved. If elected, how will you advance CPRS through the CARD framework? So I know you both are familiar with the CARD framework. So how will you advance CPRS through the CARD framework?
That's a great question, Adam. I had the honor to serve on the state board when the state board was in the process of developing that card framework. So, we were in the trenches working on it and trying to figure it out. And the card framework is really the how, right? The VIP program was the why, and now it's the how. And so it's really trying to figure out the connection and going back to Jim Wheeler's the one CPRS and bringing everybody together as one and ensuring that the connections are there. But really, this past year alongside Nick and really working on that advocacy section is really advocating for what we do and how we do it. There's a lot of legislation that is happening at the Capitol, and we need to be, sometimes they say, you need a seat at the table, but sometimes there's not enough chairs. So we got to bring our own chair to that table. And if not, we're bringing our own table to the table and bringing our own chairs along with it, And so how do we get to the point where we're conveying, not only telling our story, but ensuring that, we're having advocates and we're telling the story to the people that have those conversations at those tables with us. So I think if elected, that's what I would be bringing to the table, is making sure that, our voices are heard, that our connections are deep, that there is that sense of belonging. I know proudly when I served on the Jedi Council a few years ago, or not too long ago, I still am on the council, but when we were actively, last year, it was Jedi is the lens, belonging is the goal, and I think CPRS has really embodied that. I know NRPA last year, that was one of their taglines was belonging, you belong here, and so ensuring that there is a place for everybody here in CPRS, and that's really what the connection, the advancement for the card framework, providing those resources. I think as CPRS, we rely on each other to provide those resources, and sometimes for advocacy, that's what we're looking for. One of the major projects that we're working on for the advocacy section is providing an advocacy calendar and what that looks like, right? Because sometimes advocacy sounds so daunting that we don't know what to do at our level, at our recreation level, at our rec leader level, at our coordinator level, at our supervisor level, but it is something that we can do. And so what does that look like? And so providing our resources and really make that more manageable for our members and tangible for our members to hold on to. And then obviously the development part of the card framework is to provide those opportunities for people to learn from each other, from the professionals, the industry professionals, and make sure that they have the access, providing that access, whether it's developing the scholarship program to make it accessible and equitable for people that may not have those resources during budget times that are hard, and relying on our industry partners to help provide those scholarships through donations, or even ensuring that we leverage some of those that knowledge base. I mean, we have members here on this call that have amazing knowledge that we just need to be able to share it with amongst others. So how do we do that? And that's what I would, if elected, would try to ensure that we are focusing on during that time.
Great. Thank you, Victoria. All right, Nick, same question is gonna come to you. If elected, how will you advance CPRS through the card framework?
Yeah, so I think really similar to Victoria, I think the card framework has done wonders in helping unify the work of the districts and sections in HQ, and really kind of defining how we do our work and what the products are that we're pushing out to enhance all of our members. And I think it really is about kind of creating that connection to our other founding documents like the VIP and the California Action Plan that really better describe, I think, the why and what the changes that we want to see in the world in terms of kind of impact to our members and to the communities that they serve. I think there's some work to do to kind of better create the nexus between CARD and the VIP and the California Action Plan, but also some work in helping us kind of better define, again, kind of what that change is that we want to see for our members and for our communities at large. I think NRPA does a great job through their 3 pillars and really kind of honing in on exactly what that change is that they hope to see throughout the entire nation through Parks and Recreation. They identify health and well-being, equity, and environmental resilience. And those are great, and I think those are completely relevant to California and to CPRS as well. But I would love to help kind of lead conversations to get us to a place to figure out, okay, what is that? What are those kind of real at the end of the day things that we want to see change and happen and have our whole profession kind of affect throughout the state of California. I think there's good opportunity to kind of just strengthen our strategic initiatives and really kind of get the messaging straight for what the focus is across HQ, districts, sections, and the state board, so that we're all kind of on the same page, again, with that idea of kind of one CPRS, all working towards common goals and kind of a common ends to again, the change we want to see throughout our state. So, I mean, kind of just touching on the CARD framework, I'm going to really lean into the C and the A, so community and advancement. Not to say that the R and the D aren't important, but I think we are, I think, at a really good place, and CPRS through HQ and districts and sections are doing a great job in terms of providing resources and development opportunities. And I think again, kind of like that how or that what we've got a good base for. The community piece, like Victoria mentioned also, I think is, to me, all about belonging. It's about kind of just strengthening our ability through our resources and our development opportunities to ensure that all of our members feel like CPRS is a place that they belong. I really, I think that the reason why CPRS has been so impactful for me is that every time I come to a CPRS event or to a CPRS Zoom meeting, I feel like I'm with my people, people who understand me, people who get me, not just from a professional level, but understand me to my core. I talk about this with my wife all the time, and it almost brings me to tears, and she doesn't really get it. But like when I come into these spaces with CPRS folks, like, I really feel like people see me from that standpoint. And I really want that for all of our members, whether they're coming to a CPRS event for the first time or the 100th time. I think we can do even better at being intentional about how we gear all of our resources and our development opportunities to ensure that we're not only providing training and education and resources, but also ways for people to connect and find community and find a place where they can make lifelong friends, learn from people throughout their career, and then also have opportunities to give back to the profession and to help grow those who are coming behind them. I think there's some great emphasis that I'd like to kind of continue to work on through community and the C in CARD. In terms of advancement, like Victoria mentioned, to me, it's all about advocacy as well. It's about kind of leaning into helping our new advocacy section get on its feet and really figure out, what will be the most meaningful to our members and to our potential members. I think what's really cool about the advocacy section is that for the first time, we're telling our commissioners and our appointed and elected officials and board members that, you are important and you have a place at the table at CPRS. We want you at our conferences. We want you in the conversation, and not just as an afterthought, but we want you alongside as partners, because you are folks who can help make decisions when push comes to shove. You help with legislation and with funding and so forth, and really should be kind of alongside us through this entire journey. And figuring out how to make that all tick, I think is super important, and it's not easy work. I think for those of you that have been on this journey over this past year alongside us, you'll know that it hasn't been easy. It's been a really bumpy road, but it's going to be well worth it in the end, because the more that we can provide space and opportunity for us to just leverage the influence that our appointed and electeds have to be strong advocates for our profession, the stronger a profession we're going to be, and the more impactful we'll be across the state as well. So I think, like Victoria mentioned, it's about kind of making sure that advocacy is accessible to all of our members, no matter what position you're in your organization. Our members understand that they can be an advocate and play a role in ensuring that our profession has a seat at the table and that we're well funded and so forth. But I think it's also about growing future advocates and future appointed and elected officials who really do kind of have that seat at the table. I've seen so many examples of commissioners who have become city council members, who have become, board of supervisors, or even like youth action council members who have become this is an example from my previous agency, who a youth action council member who's become a field rep for our Speaker of the House at the California State Assembly. And so it's those types of things that are super super powerful, and if we can just harness those interactions and be intentional about how we grow folks from basically just community members into strong advocates in the professional world as well, and at the legislative level, we'll just be that much better off in terms of a profession. So yeah, I think that's all I want to say about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. All right, we're going to go to the chat. We got a question here from Sonia Patterson. So, Nick, this will go to you first. It's a straightforward one. What is your superpower?
Oh, my superpower, gosh, I'd probably say it's about bringing people together towards common goals. I'm a self-proclaimed strategic planning nerd. I love strategic planning. Love to kind of dive deep into goals and thinking about the future and strategies to get to where we want to be down the road, and bringing people along in that process. My approach to leadership has always been very collaborative. I like to kind of just help to kind of coach and facilitate conversations rather than lead and direct. And I think that's helped me throughout my career to kind of build capacity and build buy-in from teams that I've worked with, whether that's at my agency, back at home, or with my family, or even in positions that I've held throughout CPRS. I think the more that we can kind of work together and leverage the strengths that everybody brings to the table, the stronger our plans end up, and the more likely we are to reach the goals that we set for ourselves. And so, yeah, again, I think in a nutshell, I'd say it's my superpower is kind of the power of collaboration and community building.
Great. Thanks, Nick. All right, Victoria, same question for you. What is your superpower?
I think my superpower would be the ability to one, identify what the problem is, and then work towards solving the problem collaboratively amongst the team. One of the things that sometimes as professionals we get so fixated on the process of, what could have happened or what should have happened, and we don't really focus on, well, what do we need to do to solve the problem? How could we work collaboratively? What partners do we need to call on? What resources do we have? Sometimes we focus on trying to be the experts on everything that we do, and that we need to do everything. And not necessarily is that the case. And so one of the things that I really love working with is partnerships. And one of the responsibilities that I have here is partnerships and sponsorships for the city of Lancaster, and really leveraging what that looks like for our department, because not necessarily do we have to be the experts on everything, but being the experts on knowing everyone that is the experts on everything is the best part of my job, and so I would say being a problem solver and focusing on that is one of my superpowers. Next to baking is probably my other superpower, because I can bake a mean coffee cake. I'm not handing out samples. That's not part of the bribe, but I do make a mean coffee cake. But anyways, I would say that definitely is one of my main superpowers, is being able to identify a problem, leveraging the partnerships that we have, and coming together to create a solution that is beneficial, not just for the party of one, but the party of all. And so that is definitely what would be one of the main opportunities for CPRS that I would bring to the table, is to be able to work cohesively with the members of our district sections and our industry partners to be able to bring solutions to our membership.
Great. Thanks, Victoria. All right, I got another question for you. And let's see. Nick, we'll start you off with this one. You both really talked about make sure that CPRS is inclusive and talking about belonging. So, how will you ensure CPRS remains welcoming accessible and relevant to professionals at all career stages and from all backgrounds. So I can repeat that again for you. How will you ensure that CPRS remains welcoming, accessible, and relevant to professionals at all career stages and from all backgrounds?
Yeah, so I think to start with, as a CPR's leader, especially at the state board level, I think it's really important to understand what the needs are of our members, and hearing the voices of our members. Not just kind of taking shots in the dark or kind of writing down things that we think is needed by our membership. I think there's been talk as of recently about kind of reviving the next rendition of a membership survey. We did kind of a smaller level type survey with our members of the admin section. We've done that, I think, the past couple of years to really kind of dive deep into kind of what our members want to see out of the admin section, what kind of training they want to see, what topics are relevant, and what the trends are, and so forth. I think there's good opportunity to kind of do that on a continual basis with our overall CPRS membership, so that we've got a good kind of pulse on really what are the challenges that our members are seeing, and really need CPRs to support and to be the best professionals that they can be. So kind of having that data and that information directly from the membership, I think is critical. In terms of kind of the belonging piece and the community piece, I think we do a great job with that at CPRS. It's one of the things that really has made me want to commit continually to CPRS over my entire career. But I think that not everybody feels that as well at every point. And so I think there is some work that we can do to make all of our, again, kind of resources and development opportunities more intentional when it comes to kind of relationship building and just making sure that people feel like they belong. I think a lot of times when we develop, say like a training or a mini conference or whatnot, we build in socials and kind of those types of opportunities for people to connect and whatnot, which is great. And I think they're really effective in a lot of ways. But they may not be the ways that everyone connects, or ways that most people that everybody feels comfortable in connecting, for one reason or another. Maybe they like a bar isn't their scene, or they don't drink, or things like that, or they're just not comfortable in kind of an open setting like that. And so I think there's definitely things that we can think about in building our programs at the district and section level and at the state level, to think about ways that we better connect people, whether that's through kind of intentional mentorship building programs, or like the Take 5 challenge, I think, is a great example of kind of outside of the box thinking in ways that we're connecting people outside of just trainings and socials and that sort of thing. But I think it's really about creating ways that we directly build relationships amongst our membership, and we provide those opportunities as much as we can. So I think, again, kind of knowing what the needs are of our membership, and then really being intentional about relationship building. Again, I think it'd be great to be able to get to a place where, whether you've been to a CPRS event the first time or the 100th time, you feel like that's the place for you. And it really, I think, stems from personal connections and that warm kind of handshake when you first walk into the door. I think if we think about our CPRS events, even as you would like your customer service center, where you do your registrations at your agency, you want to be able to walk into a place where there's a warm, friendly face and a smile, and somebody who welcomes you in and hopefully even knows your name. And if we can kind of just put some more intention into the way that we do those types of things and create those micro interactions in the great work that we're already doing, it'll just propel us even further.
Great. Thanks, Nick. All right, Victoria, same question for you. How will you ensure that CPRS remains welcoming, accessible, and relevant to professionals at all career stages and from all backgrounds?
I think, part of having that sense of belonging is really that connection to the membership. And like Nick mentioned, it's really connecting with each of the members. I know the CPRS about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years now, did several listening tours throughout the state. They traveled up and down the state of California, and I know it takes a lot of time, and I know that it is definitely time consuming to do so. But the information that came out of those listening tours was so important and so valuable because it gave people an opportunity that not necessarily would attend a CPRS event or a district or section event, an opportunity to share their thoughts and opinions and, what CPRS meant to them, and I think that's definitely important to do. I think also CPRS HQ does a great job trying to spread out the love, I guess, of for their trainings and opportunities. I had an opportunity to attend the financial sustainability course at Cayucas, and one of their socials afterwards, District 8 hosted us, in their region. And, Nick talks about having that welcoming atmosphere, and District 8 in the middle, shout out to the Middle Kingdom. They do an excellent job in being so welcoming, and it's hard. That region is hard. Sometimes those districts and sections, geographically, it takes 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours to get from point A to point B, and really, how do we go about that? And I know, ensuring that you have those different offerings, that you definitely focus on what that each area needs. And as part of that, if I do have an opportunity to serve in this capacity, is really connecting with each of those sections and districts and areas and seeing what we can do. I know District 4 does a great program. It's called the District 4 Roadshow, and they go from city to city and connect with each of those cities, and they take a picture, and call it fun, call it goofy, call it whatever you want, but they make that connection with every single city in their district, and it means so much to them. I have a friend that recently was promoted to a director role, and she came from a different district, and when she came on her first day, that district gave her a welcome basket, welcome to her new director role, and it's really about being that intentional, being that welcoming, knowing your name, making sure that you do feel like you do belong. CPRS Connections, the annual conference, is definitely an opportunity to provide that. I know that most of us, whether it's our programs are after school or aquatics or seniors or, aging professionals or whatever the case is, sometimes, we always say, oh, well, there's nothing for me. I have this program that I'm in charge of. I don't have anything that's there for me. Well, let us know that. Let us know that. That way we can focus on someone that could bring those resources, or maybe there is, you could, teach that. And so, being as much as we would like to talk to people, we also need to listen twice as much. And sometimes that listening to our membership is what would be that driving force for the state board and for HQ and for all of us to provide that sense of belonging. Because for humans, our human nature is to be able to be heard. And there's one thing to be listened to, but to be heard is much more powerful. And to provide that opportunity and that platform for our membership to be heard and to provide those resources once we are heard is going to be sky's the limit for the membership. So I definitely think that would be the opportunity that I would focus on, given the opportunity to serve on that state board.
Thank you, Victoria. Appreciate that. All right, going to the chat. We got a question from Henry Perez Alonso. So the presidential series is a 3-year series, right? You're vice president, president-elect, then president. If you're elected at the end of those 3 years, what do you hope that CPRS members would say about your leadership through the 3 years as in the presidential series? So let me repeat that one again. In the end, after your 3-year presidential series, if you're elected, what do you hope CPRS members would say about your leadership? And Victoria, we're going to start with you.
I think for me, I would hope that the membership would say, Victoria did her absolute darndest to get a seat at the table, that she advocated for our profession, that she carried out that that overall dream to, you know, make sure that people knew that parks make life better and that it became a household topic. And it wasn't just something that we knew in the industry, but that it became a household name, that everybody knew what it was. And so that, that we got the funding that we needed, that the people knew, that we carried out the foundation's dream of having that billboard across the 99 or the 5 for those Southern California folks. So that, you know, it became definitely a household name, that it was something that we championed for what we do and why we do it, because park and recreation is a vital service, and it's not just an essential, it is a vital service, and what we do is phenomenal. And so I would hope that the profession would say that that was what after my presidential term, that I championed for our profession the best that I could.
Thanks, Victoria. All right, Nick.
Yeah, so I think I would say that I would hope that after, you know, if I'm lucky enough to go through the presidential series, that folks would say that CPRS is now aligned through purpose. So I think kind of going back to the theme of one CPRS and the idea of really connecting the work that we do to a really clear articulated purpose and why for what we want for our members and for the communities that our members serve. Yeah, I'd love to see CPRS kind of get to a place, you know, working with the board and with you, Adam and Jenny and Steph and our districts and sections, you know, again, to kind of really get to a place where we all are moving in one direction towards common goals that are well articulated, that our membership can articulate and know backwards and forwards, and that our advocates and our legislators and our elected and appointed officials know backwards and forwards as well, so that as they are having conversations about the parks and recreation profession in California, they know that through CPRS, this is the direction that we're going. That this is what we want to see in terms of change for our communities through the field of parks and recreation. And you know, I think like Victoria mentioned, like real great kind of positive direct outputs of that could be that billboard across our freeways that says "Parks make life better." As a visual, so that folks are reminded every single day when they pass that we exist and that we make a difference in our world. But beyond the billboard, you know, again, I hope that it goes deeper than that, and that when people see that that billboard, that they really understand what that means. That it's not just about, you know, kind of signing up for your local parks and recreation programs, but people understand that what we do really makes a difference in people's lives and really affects communities, and understand, you know, where we're headed by 2050, for example, as a CPRS organization and as a parks and recreation profession throughout the state of California.
All right, thanks, Nick. All right, we're gonna get to a fun question. Tier Warner asked this question in the chat: what would you bring to a potluck and why? And Nick, we're gonna start off with you. What would you bring to a potluck and why?
Well, my go-to, I like to make homemade pesto. It's one of the few things that I make from scratch, but I like to kind of mix pesto with brie and bake it inside of a bread bowl and then kind of serve it with a baguette and whatnot. And that's kind of like my go-to appetizer that I always bring to a potluck. It's easy, it's fun. Yeah, I think that's that's about it.
All right. All right, Victoria, what would you bring to a potluck and why?
I mean, this is a hard one, because if I'm assigned like a savory dish, you know, dessert, like, you know, it has to, depending on the theme. However, but if it was open-ended, I think I would have to go with like a 5-cheese mac and cheese. And we're talking about, like, it has to be super cheesy, super gooey, where you know, put the spoon in and it's like ooey gooey, and it has to be like the corkscrew, you know, pasta, because that's where like all the cheese goes into like the middle of the pasta, and so when you bite into it, it's just like, is it lunchtime yet? Because that sounds really good right now. So 5-cheese mac and cheese. with like the crusty like breadcrumbs on top. That's just baked in, and it's just deliciousness.
You are making me hungry. You're both making me hungry.
But I'm down for some
Oh,
pesto in a bread bowl.
I mean, I'd take pesto in a bread bowl with mac and cheese. I'm like, that's a perfect carbonation for me.
Down,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I'm
in.
seeing cheese and carbs as the common theme.
I
down.
mean, there's nothing wrong with cheese and carbs. That's what I will say. All right, I'm gonna go to the chat for one final question here. Let's see. All right, we're gonna go with, I'm going somewhat in order. So, Adrian, I'm gonna use your question if I could find it. What advice would you give to emerging park and recreation? Excuse me, I gotta read this again. What advice would you give to emerging park and recreation leaders? So, what advice would you give to emerging park and recreation leaders? So, Victoria, let's start off with you.
Uh, that's a good one. I think for me, don't be afraid to connect with that director, that deputy city manager, that supervisor. Um, we're not scary. We love to connect. I think for emerging park and recreation professions, sometimes there is that sense that they don't see themselves, in that role, or they don't see themselves. I remember when I was coming up through the profession, I would see the president in, saying their speech at the CPRS connections, and I would think, I'm like, dang, I don't think I would ever be able to be there. That's never going to happen like that. They're really the epitome of CPRS. And as I grew in my roles, had the opportunity to step into leadership positions, encountered amazing professionals along the way, people that nudged me, voluntold me to be in those roles. I saw that it was possible, but I couldn't do it without my people, without my, support system. And I think I would say, definitely rely on that support system. Networking is amazing. And build your network of professionals, rely on your resources. I don't think anybody in this Zoom room could have gotten through COVID without each other. And so that's definitely what I would tell them. Rely on your resources. Don't be afraid to ask for help. We are your people, and we will help you through the crazies, the happiness, the amazing programs, and we will be your biggest cheerleaders, and we will be there to support you along the way.
Awesome. Thanks, Vic. All right, Nick, same question for you. What advice would you give to emerging park and recreation leaders?
Yeah, I think I'd start with just suggesting that they kind of really dig deep into their personal why. Just think a lot about why they want to be part of this profession in the first place, or if they actually do want to be part of this profession and work in parks and recreation. I think our jobs can be very, very fulfilling and exciting and dynamic, but there can be days when it's just difficult and it feels selfless and unthankful, I guess, or or whatnot. And so I think by really kind of centering yourself on what brings you to the table, what brings you to the profession in the first place, what drives you and how that kind of fits with the mission of Parks and Recreation, I think will help to kind of carry you through those days. And if those two things don't jive, maybe Parks and Rec isn't for you because it's not for everyone, and that's okay. Um, but I think really kind of helping or really thinking about finding that alignment and how what you want to accomplish personally aligns with the field of park and recreation, I think has really kind of driven me and helped me through those difficult days throughout my career. I think secondly, I'd say take care of yourself. I think we talk a lot about work-life balance and how you find the time for it all without dropping the ball and whatnot. And I think the crux of all of that is really taking care of yourself first, making sure that you're making time for your personal mental and physical wellness and really prioritizing that because again, our careers in public service can be unwieldy. And if you aren't taking care of yourself first, it's really hard to show up and be the best employee, public servants, husband, wife, parents, grandparents, brother, sister, whatever you might be. if you haven't taken care of yourself first. So whatever that means, if you like physical activity, if you like to sew and knits and or do puzzles or read books, whatever that means, taking care of yourself first, I think in this profession is super key. And then, of course, I'd say, get involved in CPRS. It'll give back to you a million times what you put into it. You'll find lifelong friends and mentors and people who you'll learn from and you can lean on throughout those difficult times and through the good times, and provide you with opportunities for not just education but leadership and personal connection, and will make you not just a better public servant and employee, but make you a better person as well. Um, CPRS involvement has been, again, just really crucial to my success personally and professionally, and I would want that for anyone who chooses Parks and Recreation as a career choice as well. Um, can't say more about how vital I think CPRS is to the success of our Parks and Recreation professionals.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. All right, we are starting to wind down. We got about 10 minutes left. So I'm going to ask a quick question for you. Jenny Worsham asked this question. If you had a personal theme song or a walk-up song, what would yours be? I know for me, this takes me a minute to actually think of songs, but if you had a personal theme song or a walk-up song, what would yours be? And Nick, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. I'm gonna name two of them. So my default walk-up song is "Fight for Your Right" by the Beastie Boys. It's just got high energy. I think on the surface level, it's all about fighting for your right to party and whatnot. But I think the key message really is about fighting for your right to be who you want to be and live the life that you want to live. And I think that's super important to me. But the song that's kind of lived rent free in my head for literally 2 weeks now has been the Never Ending Story theme song. I don't know about you, but in my household over the break, we binge watched Stranger Things. And if you've watched Stranger Things, there's an amazing scene where two of the characters duet that song in this key moment where they're trying to save the world. And it's all about, to me, I mean, not just in that moment in Stranger Things, but if any of you have seen the movie back in the 80s, that movie, The Never Ending Story, and that theme song are really about, I think, hope and belief in humanity, in the common good, and really just belief that big things are possible. And if you dream big, even if you don't accomplish the big goal that you're going after, you'll learn a lot of things along the way throughout the journey. And seriously, that song at home and even in my office here, there's like everybody's singing that song right now. It's kind of insane. And it's stuck in my head right now.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Nick. All right, Victoria, if you had a personal theme song or a walk-up song, what would yours be?
This is a tough one. I had to think about this for a little bit. I think it would be Unstoppable by Sia. I think for me, I carry a lot. I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a working mom. I've gone to school full time. And so with carrying a lot, I tend to lead with my heart. And so, but I'm definitely purpose driven. And so, sometimes that song, I feel like I'm unstoppable. And when I feel like I'm down, I need to push through because there are people that are relying on me, whether it's my family, whether it's my team, there is no stopping me, And so I feel that one is my theme song. But of course, there's always that one that I need the hype song, right? And it's, Who Runs This World? Girls. And so then I have to go with Beyonce. So either one of those two. Depending
Awesome.
on the day, depending on the day.
Awesome. All right, we are wrapping up here. I'm going to ask you one last question, and I mean, it's already been mentioned already, but I gotta circle back to this. And so, Nick, I'm going to start with you with this question. I mean, really, I could say just tell us why the members should vote for you, but I really have to use the quote, "Why you? Why now?" Right? I have to say that part. So, tell us why you, why now, and why the members should vote for you. And you got 2 minutes.
Okay. Why me? Why now? Well, I think really, I feel like my entire career, and CPRS involvement has kind of led me to this place in time. Um, Again, CPRS has given me the world, and I would just love to have the opportunity to give back to CPRS in this way, in serving through the presidential series on the state board. I can't think of any other way that I would like to kind of just give back and show my gratitude for this organization that has given me my career, has made me the person that I am today. It'd be, one of the greatest honors of my life, I think, to serve in this role. I think I'd really like to be able to move forward kind of the themes and goals I spoke about earlier, really pushing forward that one CPRS kind of through a common purpose, working on building community through belonging and advancement through our advocacy work in CPRS. At this stage in my career, I think I've asked myself sometimes, like why would I want to do this? And in the position I'm in now as deputy city manager. But when I think back on that as well, like I think serving in my role as DCM, it's really even just underscored to me that much more the importance of what we do in Parks and Recreation, and getting involved in other ways at the deputy city manager level through organizations like ICMA and the Municipal Management Association here in Northern California. I know there's a Southern California equivalent, but I think doing things like that and having those opportunities, I think will allow me to kind of create some better inroads and relationships with other professional organizations that I think CPRS could really benefit from in terms of our work in advocacy, but also in terms of kind of connecting the development work that we do. I think sometimes we think about CPRS and think about having to do everything for all, be the one for all of our members. But there's great things that many of these other professional organizations are already doing as well that we can just connect to and bring into the fold. And I think in my current role too, being able to have touch points with elected and appointed officials at the deputy city manager role, I think brings a different perspective and different touch point. I think that can help benefit CPRS, especially in terms of our advocacy work. So again, I think CPRS is in a really great place. We've got amazing leaders that have done some great foundational work, and I don't take that lightly at all. I'd be honored to carry on that legacy and just really kind of take us into the next phase of CPRS. Make sure that our members feel like they belong, and that we do have that seat at the table when it comes to advocacy. CPRS again has given me lifelong friends and mentors, and I want that for all of our members. And I think that's the key bottom line message is that I want our members to feel like they belong, and that CPRS is a place for them to be the best Parks and Rec professional that they can be. So with that, I humbly ask for your vote as CPRS Vice President.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. All right, Victoria, why you? Why now?
Well, as much like Nick said, I would just say ditto. But I think for me, very similarly, CPRS has been a pillar in my career. It has provided me with opportunities. It has provided me with, core friendships. It has provided me with hundreds of opportunities to present, to learn, to grow as an individual, both professionally and personally. But not only that, it has also granted me, the opportunity to learn from individuals, to provide resources to my team, to bring resources to my team, where if I didn't have that as a resource, I wouldn't be able to do so. Now, one of the reasons that I would love to have your vote as for the vice president role would be, there has been amazing professionals that came before me that have done amazing work. But in true sports fanatic fashion, the work's not done yet. And so we have to continue the work, and so we have to push forward, because our profession is ever changing and the profession is ever growing, and there's new legislation that comes every single day. And so we have to continue to champion. There's new emerging professionals that come every single day that are fresh and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to take on the world, and we have to be there, ready and willing to teach them the ways. And so we have to be ready. And so how can we continue the foundation? We can't just stop. And so we have to continue the work. And so being able to champion those advocacy, platforms, and, bringing the right individuals to that table, bringing those resources, connecting everybody. The state of California is huge, but you know what? We're so close, and we know there's, here, there's, I don't even know how many people are still on the call, but there's 40 of us. And I believe there's usually about 4,500 at a conference, Stephanie. And so those are just 4,500 of our closest, dearest friends, but there's so many more of us that stay back. And so how do we continue to connect every single one of us, provide those resources to do the amazing work that we can do for the residents that we serve? So why me? To give me the opportunity to continue the work that the amazing State Board has done already, that the amazing leaders have come before us, and to ensure that people all over the world, not just here in California and all over the nation, know that California is a force to be reckoned with, and that CPRS is here to stay, and that parks do make life better, and we are a vital service. And that is what we are here to do.
Awesome. Thank you, Victoria. And thank you, Nick. Appreciate you both being here today. That is going to wrap up our questions for our Vice President Candidate Forum. The goal today was really to allow our members to get to know each of you better, so that way they can, and I really hope that they found this useful and helpful. I know you both shared so much about who you are and what you would love to be able to do with CPRS. And so we encourage everybody to look at our candidates. And if you need more information, you can go to the CPRS website. There's a full background on what they've got now. I think Steph's going to drop a link in the chat too that'll get you to that place, so you can be able to read more about our candidates if you need more information. And that's not just for our vice president candidates. That's also for all the other positions that we have available as well. Voting electronic ballots will be hitting eligible members' email boxes this Thursday, January 15th, and voting will close at 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, January 21st. And so you don't need to delay. Once you get it, just take care of it. Don't worry about it. Please spread the word about voting and ballots and all those kinds of good things. And if you did not receive a ballot or you have a question about eligibility, please call CPRS HQ. They can be able to help you out with any of that. So with that, we are wrapped up for today. Thank you to everybody who took the time to join us and engage with candidates and learn more about our future leaders in CPRS. Mark your calendars so that you remember to vote. It's really easy. We all know this. We've been doing it before, so just make sure you get out there, vote, spread the word. And on behalf of the CPRS State Board of Directors, we want to thank Nick and Victoria for your time and dedication to serving CPRS and our members, and we wish you both the best in this election. So thank you all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye, everyone.